Hello there, my name is Paul the Star Wars Guy, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So since this is my first video, I thought I would introduce myself and give a brief history of my life as a Star Wars fan, and then sort of go over where I'm going to be taking my channel going forward. So first off, a little bit about me. I am 26 years old, and I have been a Star Wars fan ever since I was 5. The first Star Wars movie I ever saw was The Phantom Menace. Mom and Dad rented it for me on VHS, and I was immediately hooked on it like that. Granted, being 5 years old, I had no idea all the plot points with the Trade Federation, nor did I understand how important Anakin was, given the fact that I hadn't seen the original trilogy. All I really knew at that time were that there were these godlike beings called Jedi that had these cool light-up swords called lightsabers, and Darth Maul had the coolest one. And at that age, that's really all I needed to know to enjoy it. And then my love of Star Wars only grew from there when Episode 2 Attack of the Clones came out. Now, one of my favorite memories growing up as a kid was anytime I would go and visit my cousin Blair for several months. He had a copy of the Episode 2 Visual Dictionary. And I remember every time I visited him, I would be reading this book. I would look at all the pictures of what all was going to be in the movie, and just getting more and more excited the closer it got to the movie coming out. And I thought it was cool to see Obi-Wan as a grown-up Jedi Master. I thought it was cool to see Anakin much older being a Jedi Padawan. And I thought Count Dooku would be an interesting villain. And I also thought he had an equally cool lightsaber design to Darth Maul's, given that his hilt was curved. And then I finally saw Episode 2 when it came out on DVD at my Uncle Pat's house, and it lived up to my expectations. Then, between Episodes 2 and 3, Mom and Dad sat me down and showed me the original trilogy, and it's then that I finally understood the importance of the whole story, how Episodes 1 and 2 connected to Episodes 4, 5, and 6, how Darth Vader and Anakin are the same person, how he had children with Padme named Luke and Leia, and how Obi-Wan Kenobi and Old Ben Kenobi were the same person also. And then finally, of course, I saw Episode 3. And for the longest time, those 6 movies really were it for me. I completely missed out on what is now considered Legends canon when I was growing up. I didn't read any of the books with the exception of one that I got from the school library when I was in my senior year. And I knew of the 2D and 3D Clone Wars shows and even watched a couple episodes of them. But since it was kind of frowned upon in my family to watch Cartoon Network for various reasons, I really did not watch them very regularly. So, fast forward to Thanksgiving of 2012. Once again, I'm visiting my cousin Blair, and we're all at his parents' house, Aunt Becky and Uncle Benji. And he tells me that Lucasfilm had just been sold to Disney, and that Disney had planned on making more Star Wars movies. And at the time, as someone that really did not expect to get any more Star Wars movies, I was really shocked and really excited. Fast forward again to Thanksgiving 2014. By this time, I am completely grown up, and I'm serving overseas in the Navy in Bahrain. And I'm on post one night, and one of my supervisors shows me the trailer for The Force Awakens, the first teaser trailer. And at the time, I thought it was a cool trailer, but there were also some things that I didn't quite like that just kind of looked a little bit silly to me. Like the design of Finn's Stormtrooper armor, BB-8, and especially Kylo Ren's lightsaber. But over time, those things kind of grew on me and weren't annoying anymore. So I was pretty excited for The Force Awakens. During the time when I found out about The Force Awakens and the time it came out, I did watch a little bit of Rebels just to get an idea of how Disney might handle Star Wars. And I thought Rebels was okay, especially as someone that really did not see much of the Clone Wars. But I could definitely tell it was also a Disney product, given the fact that they really didn't show any on-screen death. And I was also starting to get a little bit into different Star Wars YouTube channels like The Stupendous Wave and especially Star Wars Theory. I really, really liked their what if videos, like what if such and such event in the Star Wars universe happened differently, what would the fallout be from that? It's one of my most favorite things to think about when thinking about any sort of fantasy genre. Finally, December 2015, and The Force Awakens comes out. It was the first Star Wars movie I ever saw in the theater, and currently it is the movie that I have seen the most in theaters at 3 times. And I'm going to give my thoughts more in depth when I do videos on each of the individual movies, but just for now, when I first saw The Force Awakens in theaters, I thought it was a good movie, but something about it felt off. And again, I'll go more into detail about that when I actually talk about The Force Awakens specifically. But then Rogue One comes out, and I really enjoyed Rogue One more than I did The Force Awakens. And at that time, I thought that Disney was the right choice to run Lucasfilm. And then The Last Jedi comes out. By this time, I am out of the Navy, and I'm watching The Last Jedi in the theater with my parents and my siblings. And I remember being absolutely stunned at what I saw from The Last Jedi. I really wasn't sure what to think of it when I first saw it. I wanted to like it. And for the first little bit, I almost convinced myself I did, though that could have been because it was a new Star Wars movie, and it still had that new factor to it. But then after a while, I realized that I really did not like The Last Jedi. And again, I'll go into why when I talk about it specifically. So, after The Last Jedi comes out, one night, I'm awake in bed, and I'm watching YouTube, and I'm watching different channels review The Last Jedi. And it's through this that I discover channels like The Quartering and Geeks and Gamers, who I still follow today. And they, of course, are infamous for having nothing but bad things to say about The Last Jedi. And I started listening more and more to what they were saying, and in turn, losing more and more of my love for Star Wars. Now, before I go any further, I do want to make one thing very clear. I do not blame Geeks and Gamers and The Quartering and other channels like that for causing me to lose my love of Star Wars. If anything, I blame myself for taking what they say at face value and basically making their opinions my own instead of hearing their opinions, but then also doing my own research into what they were saying and forming my own opinion from there. But again, I can't go back and change that, and the damage had been done. Because of all the stuff they were saying about how Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy was pushing a bunch of real-world politics into Star Wars, because of all of that, I completely skipped Solo in the theaters and only bought it later, many months later, at Walmart for like $5 just to have it in my collection. And that was the least that I ever cared about Star Wars. But then in early 2019, a little bit of hope started coming back when I saw the Rise of Skywalker trailer. It seemed, upon first viewing, that it was going to be business as usual for the sequel trilogy until I heard Palpatine's laugh. And that got me interested because I was very, very curious how they were going to bring back Palpatine from the dead. And then Jedi Fallen Order comes out, which I still believe to this day is the best Jedi-focused Star Wars game, at least of recent time. And then The Mandalorian Season 1 comes out, which I really loved. And then Rise of Skywalker comes out, and in preparation for Rise of Skywalker, I stopped watching all Star Wars YouTube videos, especially concerning various leaks about the Rise of Skywalker, because I wanted to go in with as fresh and open a mind as possible. And I'm glad I did, because Rise of Skywalker actually is my favorite of the sequel trilogy. And again, I'll go into why when I talk about it. So after the Rise of Skywalker comes Mandalorian Season 2, which I enjoyed more than Season 1, especially the very end when Luke shows up. And after all of that, I thought that Star Wars was on the rise again, that we had all the bad, toxic stuff behind us. But then, unfortunately, more bad things begin to happen. I started seeing these channels talking about Star Wars Theory, how he had recently gotten bullied by Pablo Hidalgo for showing emotion at Luke's return, which he completely did not deserve that. I also saw certain authors of the High Republic saying things I didn't agree with, and then finally Gina Carano's firing. All of those things put together just dealt a massive blow to the newfound goodwill that Lucasfilm had gotten in me. But the silver lining of this is that in spite of all that bad stuff, or because of all that bad stuff, I found other Star Wars YouTube channels like Drunk 3PO, Anna That Star Wars Girl, and especially Echo Base Network. And I started watching their channels more and more, getting more into what they were saying, honestly more so than Star Wars itself at the time. And I found that these were all just normal people who really loved Star Wars and wouldn't settle for anything other than top-notch quality entertainment. And they all, especially Echo Base Network, have inspired me to make my own channel. Because if they can do it, so can I. And that leads into what I'm going to be doing with this channel. I'm of course going to be covering Star Wars news as they do and giving my own opinion on it. As I mentioned before, I will be reviewing every single one of the Star Wars videos and giving my own opinion on it, what I think of them now, and also a little bit more in depth as to what I thought of them when I first saw them. And then from there, who knows what will happen. But anyways, I hope you guys stick around to see it all. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like this video. Thank you very much.